22nd, 2024 meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee. And before I go any further, I'd like to ask Brandon to explain a little bit about why we are having two budget meetings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as members of the Lafayette City Council, they also oversee the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency District as well. Separate entities, but the core city governing body and staff kind of have duplicate roles in the Urban Renewal Agency. So every year, as part of the budget process, this will be the second fiscal year of a budget adoption for the Urban Renewal Agency District. But the City of Lafayette Budget Committee also doubles as the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee as well. So you're overseeing both of those budgets. And for context, this is the second year of the program we'll be going into. All of the money we have now is just kind of going to be for admin and building reserves for programs as the Urban Renewal District comes to fruition. But a lot of that is going to be predicated on the 46.5 acres of lot right there, and then any type of redevelopment spurred along the downtown corridor. For those who don't recall or who need to know, the district is going to be from 5th and Bridge with 3rd and 4th in Washington, all the way down south, straddling Terry Park to the east end of town of 99. So it's a pretty significant portion of the southern end of town is in the Urban Renewal District. So.
Okay, thank you. Kennedy, would you like to call roll, please? Yeah.
Mayor Malcolmson.
Here.
Councilor Carswell.
Present.
Councilor Gilliam.
Here.
Councilor Paulson. Present. Councilor Burrows.
Here.
Councilor Kent. Marilyn Duval.
Here.
Jeffrey Olson. Benson.
Here.
Michael Shinley.
Here.
Leah Harper. Here. Shirley Bouquet. Susan Purple. Present. And Shelley Wisdom. Okay.
Okay, thank you. The next on the agenda is the April 24, 23 minutes to approve. Have you all read them? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
A second. Been moved and seconded that the minutes for April 24, 23 be approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And now the presentation of the URA budget by Brandon Draws.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll kind of go over my budget message real quick, since it is fairly simple, since this is the second year of the project. The district was established in 2022 to carry out objectives of the Lafayette Urban Renewal Plan to improve specific areas of Lafayette through economic development and revitalization within a 131-acre area that includes a downtown core and neighboring properties to the south and east of the downtown area. Like mentioned a few moments ago, the URA is a separate entity from the city, requiring its own governing body, budget committee, and budgeting process. While this governance and process may mirror that of the cities. To fulfill this requirement, the mayor and 6 council members of the city of Lafayette have been designated to act as the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency Board. The Lafayette Budget Committee members have been designated to act as the agency's budget committee per the resolution. This is the second budget year of the Urban Renewal Agency and reflects the minimal projected tax increment revenues of $26,902. Proposed expenditures are to cover administrative costs associated with implementation and oversight of the plan. There are no projects being funded at this time. So you'll see not as big as the city budget. So I'll go over the 2 pages real quick. You'll just see where the beginning fund balance is starting for FY 24-25. And then the taxes estimated to be received, which is about $26,902. Bringing our total resources to $46,666,000. Sorry, $46,666. Outside of some minimal service contracts with like Elaine Howard, who helps us with our auditing for the first few years of the program. There's not much expense to the Urban Renewal Fund at this time. So.
Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for 2024 on the Urban Renewal Agency budget. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on the budget. Now we need the presentation of the budget for 2025 that we, for approval.
Well, I just went over the presentation of it.
Right.
It looks like we have,
Are there any
Make
comments
discussion.
from the committee on the budget? Do I hear a motion for approval of the budget?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Has been moved and seconded that the 2024-25 budget for the Urban Renewal Agency be approved. All those in favor?
Hold on one second, sorry. Marilyn, the little cheat sheet I gave you earlier in the day that has the motion, that full motion actually needs to be.
Oh, I am so
correct.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
So since Caleb made the motion, he would have
Okay.
Counselor Paulson read that.
I move that the Budget Committee of the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency approve the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 budget in the amount of $46,666 and approve the request for the maximum amount of revenue that may be raised by division of taxes under section 1C article 1X or the Oregon Constitution.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any comments? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. And then next on budget, I have committee deliberations and approval, so I'm assuming that that's what with the approval of the budget, we're fine. Is there a motion for adjournment of this budget meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 6:37.
6:37.
Yeah. Now we're going to move to the budget, the general budget committee agenda. We'll call that meeting to order at 6:38. Do we need a roll call separate for this particular? Okay.
And what has been noted, same as before.
Okay, everything's done. Okay. Thank you. And then Brandon, the follow-up items from the April 15th Budget Committee.
thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll kind of just go through them page by page. You should have all received the packet last Wednesday. If not, we have a couple of printouts. Does anybody need a printout?
I do.
And I have four more. One, two, three, four. Everybody's ready, let me know and I can go ahead and start.
You're good to go.
All right. So first page, organizational chart, clean that up, put the contracted services back where it's suggested with the city attorney and judge being in the yellow bubble at the bottom. So I think that kind of cleared up the confusion.
Yeah.
Okay, the next page, the recommended budget revenue and expenditure. This is just going to reflect the minor changes that were made in the budget. So everything in here is just going to be what was revised as discussed. This can be in support to your recommended budget packet. We didn't print out all new packets because we're going to print those out for the full budget when those are ready. Capital improvement plan, the next page, I updated the second reservoir to be $2.5 million. And I reflected that with the fund and the estimate according to the financial column, the third one over. I think that was all that on there. I did update the budget program notes. There were some miscalculations I had on number 12, franchise fee increase. I had accounted for the appropriate amount, but not the actual percentages. So that's been changed, as well as there was one more that I had changed on the sewer utility increase to we originally proposed $2.74. It was asked to bring back a $3 flat number, so that was put into that one as well. And then the line 15 was added. There were some concerns on that $100,000. And at that time, I was like, well, it was $50,000 last year and $100,000 this year. I went back and it was actually line 15, the well pan cleaning rehab and replacing 2 flow meters in the distribution system. Next page, this was asked for regarding our staffing distribution comparison this year versus last year. Obviously, you can see we're pretty close to what we projected. One of the big things there is on sewer. You'll see a big jump is because sewer, we had an employee who was 100% out of sewer, but also some of their overtime, the way it worked, a lot of it was coming all out of sewer. So you'll see the reduction this year on that. But outside of that, our cost comparison breakdown is pretty accurate compared to what we did this in 24 and then 23. Any questions? Okay, the next page is you'll see anything that was changed, you're gonna see in a bold italicization, sorry. So the Northwest Natural is on the resource page. We didn't go, so it's projected to be a pretty significant jump, but speaking with a lot of homeowners in town, looking at a lot of the new builds, a lot of those new builds will be more energy efficient. So I don't see a drastic uptick in any type of franchise fee increase on, at least on the Northwest Natural side. So that's included there. On the grants. I know I had that on here. Oh, it's the next one. Sorry. On the next page.
What page?
Sorry, page 2, administration. I reflected the community outreach. So I actually made a mistake. It was actually $3,600 were requested, not $3,000. So instead of taking 25 and putting that into the Vilco Reserve Fund, it was actually 14 of that. So you'll see the reduction from $5,000 ask to $3,600. That's to the nose for all requests. That doesn't mean all that's going to be expended. That's just the amount of requests that came in through the grant committee.
I'm confused why we didn't end up cutting this down to 2,500.
I thought we discussed not matching it to like.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, but Brandon's coming back to us because I had mentioned to him after the meeting, I noticed that it wasn't $3,000 in requests, it was $3,600. I still totally agree with the whole, it doesn't need to be 5,000, but the information he presented to us was not correct when we decided at 2,500.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still like to see 2,500 here.
I don't.
We talked about it's okay for council to not quite have enough to total all of the grants. That was the whole discussion. And now we've moved up higher than what we thought they were.
I would like to see it at 3,000 since if it had been brought to us last week at 3,600 and we dropped it down under the amount that's being requested, I would never have agreed to 2,500.
Have the requests been presented to the council? yet?
No,
That's July 1.
They still have the option to
Change that.
to.
we don't have to expend it all, no.
No, but they always do every year. Like,
But that's up
that
to
happens
council.
Every year.
Yeah.
So, but the budget committee has the ability to restrain that spending from the council, that's why the
Yeah.
budget committee is here.
Well,
If it's-
council,
If it gets 3,600, council will spend it all, they do every year.
I'm
I
asking
would
for
rather-
3,000.
And I would rather see it back at 2,500 like we talked about last week.
Because my view is the 2,500 was based off a 3,000 request committee, which is a deficit of 500, not 1,100.
For me, it's not a deficit, it's us giving away taxpayers' money to
Mhm.
whoever six.
Okay, deficit's the wrong
Yeah,
term.
please fish.
Sorry.
We're giving away money of taxpayers to whoever 6 or 7 people at the dais thinks appropriate. If taxpayers want to give money to those organizations, they can. The city's better using that money to do things we need, like we discussed last week about how short we are in vehicle replacements. I don't think council having to make an extra $600 in decisions should affect how we spend money that the city clearly needs for certain other areas of the budget.
What about in the middle? What about 2,750?
Other discussion?
Well, my recommendation is that the council decide a limit, as opposed to, all these requests coming in and, deciding, yeah, well, we got 3,600, so we're gonna give 3,600. I think there needs to be a cap to begin with. I think you need to decide what that cap is, and if we have more than that, well, you have to make the decision. It's supposed to be based on what, benefits the citizens and not, anything outside of the city to begin with, so
I think Lee was
that's just
right,
my
though.
thought.
Whatever number we put here, we will spend. that,
Exactly.
100%.
Well,
I don't know, if last, correct me if I'm wrong, I think last year, council approved much less
Less.
than what was requested from.
Mhm.
And I can bring that back to the council in July. That the goal is possibly to reduce that, but I think last year, I think council acted diligently and not giving out who could be top. But I don't, for previous years, I can't speak to that.
I think that the council is made of 6 or 7 people. The budget committee is here to put a check on the council. If the budget committee wants them to spend less, we should do it right here.
Mhm.
I want people to know, to realize, because some of this correction in amount is new information coming to you guys right tonight. That we need to, we can't just gloss over that the information was wrong without. If everyone wants to stick with 2,500, so be it. But I think that's a huge difference. Where, we were $600 off in what was being portrayed to us of how great of a request is the grants. Yes, it's up to council to spend the money wisely, and it's up to us as a budget committee to set an appropriate budget. But I've seen a need for us to discuss if we feel the 2,500 is still reasonable. Or that because information was brought to us wrong, that we do have an option to reassess the difference.
My position would be, we discussed 2,500. I think it should stay at 2,500. Like Leah said, it doesn't matter that how much has come to us. We need to be setting a certain amount, and we last week discussed this and based the budget on 2,500. And so that's my position. I don't think it should be changed.
Anyone else?
I would agree.
Yeah, I think that it's not exactly fair that the mayor had a conversation after the budget committee set a number. So as much as
It wasn't a conversation. It was noting a mistake in the budget to Brandon.
I think
As-
it
as mu-
was 2,500, if I remember correctly.
as much as I'd probably lean towards it's $500, $600, it's really not a big part of our budget that, we'll need somewhere necessarily, but I think that's something we agreed to last time, and it's kind of a surprise to see a different number presented.
I think we need a motion to either approve or disapprove the 2,500 that we had already
I
agreed.
move to approve the 2,500 that we discussed previously.
A second,
I second.
moved and seconded that we keep the number at 2,500 that we agreed upon at our last meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
I think the ayes have it. Unless you want a show of hands.
We have it recorded.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so going back to line item 31, that'll be changed to 2,500.
Sorry about that, Brandon.
Oh, you're okay. I made a mistake. So the next page, page 3, no changes. Page 4, no changes. These are all the general fund, so even though a few items are changed, we printed out the whole general fund because the numbers at the end are gonna change. Nothing on page 4, that stayed the same. Same as page 5, building. No changes in page 6, municipal court. Nor 7, law enforcement. Nor 8, parks and facilities. 9, fire. We did reduce the miscellaneous from 1,500 to 1,250. On the next page, we saw $45,400 transferred to the vehicle and equipment fund instead of the $6,000 that was requested. And that was going to be from, instead of paying 2 full payments to the Highway 18 general fund loan, it was going to be $100,000 payment with the remaining projected payment $44,000 going to the vehicle and equipment fund. And then at the time, the $1,400 carryover from the community outreach and promotions. But it's looking like taking that extra $900 and putting that into the vehicle equipment fund to make it, let me see.
The extra 11.
1,100, sorry, 1,100, so, 46,500. So that'll be reflected. So in regarding the general fund, the change in recommended and the change by the budget committee is right there. So you'll see how, we're gonna have to obviously update the community outreach and, promotions line item. And we're gonna have to revise the line number 19 on page 10. But that'll add up to the 37,89,622 minus the $1,100.
It doesn't change, it just.
Oh, they're moving that over, yeah, so yeah, that doesn't change then, yeah, perfect. So the general fund is still 3.789622.
can you state one more time what the correction was on line 10?
Okay,
Page
so
10, sorry.
page 10, 19, line of 19 is gonna be $46,500,
46.
$1,500.
Okay.
So you'll see the increase of cost tied to the increase to the vehicle and capital fund right there. On the second column approved by budget committee. So if the budget is approved by the budget committee and we're okay to do this, we would, similar 2 minutes, we would approve this budget to go to the city council with the reflections notated on those line items.
They don't have to call them out specifically because the overall amount hasn't changed.
Gotcha. Any questions on that?
Your line 32 again.
So line 32 is accurate. It's gonna be,
Oh, it's the same.
yes, it's the same.
Okay, because of the change in them. Okay. Thank you.
All right, sewer fund, page 11, with the suggested sewer rate going to $3 increase. That increased the recommended budget to $1,010,445 from the $1,005,550. Sorry. So the added suggested increase is going to be notated as approved by the budget committee in that column. So you'll see the total resources go from 1.452750 to 1.457695. Any questions on that? Okay, so you'll see the sewer fund, page 12, you'll see that. We also scaled back the large equipment and tool because the back trailer will be paid from both water and sewer.
Okay.
So it was reduced on the water side to 13,000 and increased on the large tool side under the sewer fund. So you'll see the total sewer fund increase from 1.452750 to the aforementioned 1.457695. Any questions on that? Okay, like mentioned, on the water fund, we scaled back, if you look at page 16, we scaled, oh, actually, sorry. We mentioned, the system repairs and maintenance on line item 32. That was notated on the cost factors program page. I think it was like page 2 or 3 in your updated packet. So that is where that was from. Large tools and equipment, you can see the reduction from 35,000 to 13,000 on the back trailer.
Mhm.
And we did have some wiggle room in there based upon if it would get approved, how it would get approved, but we feel pretty confident in the back trailer, not needing to ask for the additional money. So we've been scaled it back a smidge.
What page are we on, Brandon, with the?
16.
16.
And then page 17, we are gonna fix the line item 3. And we're gonna make that $46,500, which means we're going to increase the total resources to 140,000, which includes the total requirement down. So lines 13 and 24 will both be $140,000.
Can you state again how much line
Sorry,
3 was that?
line 3 is gonna go from 45,400 to 46,500 to reflect the community outreach grant reduction and added to that. And I'm reflecting those increases on lines 14 and 24 from $138,900 to $140,000. And those, unless I missed something, should be the suggestions from last week.
There any follow-up discussion to the changes in budget? And
I'm just looking over for my notes.
Was it the back trailer that you were splitting that cost?
Yeah, instead of putting it all, I think we had it on the water. We were just gonna put it on 50/50 out of sewer and water.
And it wasn't.
So we were able to actually scale back some of the costs, what we're actually thinking on some of the other items. So we just didn't even 13,000 for both. So,
And that's the one that Mr. Oldham pointed out, we had 10,000 more budgeted than
Yes.
our projected costs were, so that's why it's only at 26.
yeah, and we feel pretty good that we'll get it for that price instead of having to look elsewhere.
Okay.
So we want to scale back where we could.
Sorry, so on page blank, but it's other budget program notes,
Yes,
so item 9 back trailer at 25,000.
yes.
So it's versus 26.
Yeah, I mean, I can add the 26 and I just did for wiggle room if it was for painting or something.
I'm not sure it matters, I'm just more curious.
I can allocate that $1,000 in there. Yeah. Any license?
any other discussion?
Brandon, I'm sorry, I have a general question on page 16, the loan repayment. Did we need to make any adjustments to those? Because I know there was a lot of discussion back and forth about the loan repayment. Did that require any adjustments on this page? Okay, no, okay.
Because it's still being, so $144,000 is still being given to the general fund. But instead of us paying two payments like we recommended, the budget committee said, well, hey, let's take that money we're getting from the water fund. And then,
Hold on. It's still two payments.
yes,
Once it's in the general fund,
General
they've got the payment, the general fund can do whatever it wants with the money. So the general fund then is going to transfer.
there you
You're still making two payments.
one regular payment, and the second smaller payment, so.
Good thing we have you, Jamie.
Yes. I just want to make sure it's clear. It's still paying back the loan first, so.
Well.
It's not, we'll move on to the open public hearing on possible uses of state revenue sharing. Are there any public comments? Nobody's here. Hearing none, we'll close the hearing. And we need to open the public hearing on the fiscal year 24-25 budget that we just reviewed. And if there is any public here, comments from the public. Hearing none, we'll close that hearing. And the comments and deliberation by the budget committee, is there anything else other than what we've already discussed? We'll need a motion to approve the budget.
So Marilyn, just real quick then, for whoever wants to be the one to make that motion, since we did make the one adjustment on the transfer.
Okay.
So just make a note on the cheat sheet that I gave you, that transfer amount. Because we do need to increase it by the 1,100 since the vehicle and equipment fund increased. So the new total budget amount would be $17,395,042. All the rest of it is the same, just that amount.
17, say that again, sorry, 17.
$17,395,042.
Why did that change?
Okay. Because the vehicle and equipment replacement fund, the overall fund amount increased. So even though the general fund, it offset the other fund increase, so it increased the total amount.
Would you like to?
Sure.
So on page,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, page 17.
Well, you choose.
Because we increased the transfer in, we increased the revenue.
No, because of the transfer. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm there.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the budget committee of the city of Lafayette approve the $17,395,042 for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 budget. Okay. In the amount of $17,395,042, approved property taxes for 2024-2025 fiscal year at the rate of 3.4857 per $1,000 of assessed value for the permanent rate tax levy, and in the amount of $220,360 for the general obligation bond levy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion as read? Opposed? Motion carried. Budget approved.
Thank you, everyone. I move to adjourn.
Well, with that, I think we need a motion for adjournment.
To adjourn.
Okay.
Then moving a second that we adjourn the meeting at 7:04. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Brandon, who seconded the adjournment?
Did we not have
I
minutes
second.
to approve?
Oh, no,
We did that at the beginning.
Okay,
We did the URA ones, then this year's are gonna, will be looked at by
Okay.
Michelle, and then we'll bring them back.
Oh, sorry, that was, I switched two packets together and then, that's why I was like, wait, no, no.
Sorry, the fact that they didn't know what I was doing, it was the shortest meeting